So this is the first video that we are going to look at factoring polynomials. And the first step to factoring is always to look for the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is something that every term is divisible by. So in this case, example A, we have 6x cubed minus 4x. Both of these terms are divisible by 2, right? 6 is divisible by 2 and 4 is divisible by 2. There's no greater number that both 6 and 4 are divisible by. And their variables, they both have an x. So we have x cubed and we have an x. So that means both of these terms are divisible by 2x. So the way we're going to write that is 2x. This is what both terms are divisible by. And now what's going to go in these parentheses is what I call the leftovers. So we have the greatest common factor on the outside of the parentheses, and on the inside of the parentheses we have the leftovers. So if we were to divide 6x cubed by 2x, we would get 3x squared. So when we're dividing, think of this as being 6x times x times x. One of those x's cancels out with one of the x's down below, and we're left with 2 of them. Now we go on to the next term. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and both those x's simplify. So our final answer is 2x times 3x squared minus 2. We box that in. Now, remember, we can always check to see if we have the right answer. If we distribute this 2x, we should get what we started with. So I'm just going to write that here. Check. So 2x times 3x squared is 6x cubed. 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. And that's exactly what we had when we started. So let's go on to the next example. So we have negative 4x squared plus 12x minus 16. So they're all divisible by 2, but they're also all divisible by 4. So 2 is not the greatest common factor, but 4 is the greatest common factor, at least for our coefficients. Now let's look at our variables. We have an x squared, we have an x, and then we don't have any variable on our last term. So we cannot include an x in our greatest common factor. So let's write this. We have 4 as our greatest common factor, and now we're going to proceed and we're going to find the leftovers. So negative 4x squared divided by 4 ends up being negative x squared. 12 divided by 4 is 3x. Negative 16 divided by 4 is 4. So that looks like our final answer as far as factoring, finding our greatest common factor. And let's just make sure. I'm going to do this in my head. 4 times negative x squared is negative 4x squared. 4 times 3x is positive 3x. And 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. So it looks like we're good. And now on to our last example. Okay, this one's a little strange the way it's written. We have a binomial times a monomial. X minus 2 times 2x plus x minus 2 times 3. So you can see they both have an x minus 2 in common. So we could divide both of these by x minus 2. And we're going to write that as x minus 2. That is our greatest common factor. And notice I put it in parentheses because there's more than one term. And now I'm going to write my leftovers. So if we divide the first term by x minus 2, we're left with a 2x. If we divide the second term by x minus 2, we're left with a 3. Okay, this plus sign is shown right there. And now we could quickly check this without multiplying the whole thing out. If we think of this as one term, x minus 2 times 2x, x minus 2 times 3, we get both of those terms without simplifying it any further. So our final answer here is x minus 2 times 2x plus 3.